Alright, so, I think it's time I kinda hammer down on what my real issue was with, the Force Awakens. Alright, and it really pisses me off. So, in case you don't know, or you're out of the loop, I have started to watch every piece of Star Wars media I can find, and I'm starting with all the films. So I recently went back and I watched episode 1 through 6. Thoroughly enjoyed them. I probably rate them all like an 8 out of 10 lowest and a 9 to 9.9 out of 10 highest. And I thought they were all masterpieces. I thought they were all really well done.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
I watched episode 7, I believe it was yesterday, or it was the day before, can't remember now. I think it was 2 days ago, because I'm still in mourning, I guess. But I hated The Force Awakens with every fiber of my being. I tried to go in thinking, okay, this is at least going to be a good film, because it was the one that everyone has been talking about, at least on the internet, and at least people I know, that, Force Awakens actually is pretty good, but everything else is kind of like dog shit. And I thought, okay, I'll go in, open mind, take things for what it was. I come to find out that I absolutely hate everything about Force Awakens. I thought the characters were written like shit.
Sanitation? Then how do you know how to disable the shields?
I don't. I'm just here to get Rey.
People are counting on us. The galaxy is counting on us.
Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force.
That's not how the Force works.
I thought the environments were cool. That was like the only plus, I guess. But outside of all that, I just think everything was just written so fucking horribly. Plot, the characters, the choreograph on certain fight scenes, I thought just everything was so off. And I think the best way, I've kind of, or I guess like the best term I could use is, I think, and I'm making a prediction, I guess, because I haven't watched episode 8 and 9, but I'm predicting that these films are gonna have a mega issue with, what's it called? Struggle. I think Star Wars is losing its struggle. Now, I have watched many other Star Wars media, I guess we could call it. I have watched the Clone Wars, and I really enjoyed the Clone Wars. After watching this Rey Skywalker saga, I noticed something amongst every single character, and all of them suck. But they suck because they never struggle, you know? And I know Rey comes from a desert planet, and she's waiting for her parents, but that's not really a struggle. She's still doing everything willingly, and she doesn't seem to really have a problem being on that desert planet, as she refers to going back there every time. You know, I never get the impression that she doesn't want to be on the desert planet, other than when she's trying to help the Resistance fight the First Order. So, to me, I'm just very confused on why the main character didn't go through any struggle. You know, we can see with Anakin went through a lot of struggle via being a slave, and he got lucky and his freedom was bought out via him going into a pod race, one of the most dangerous things you can do, and he did it as a fucking child, to literally buy his freedom. Once he had his freedom, he then had to go through the struggles of trying to be with the person he loves while not letting the people he works for find out, because it's against the Jedi Order. This, to me, makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of struggle, there's a lot of relatability you can use with that character. Maybe you're not a white dude from a sand planet, or you maybe weren't a slave, but you can at least relate to the fact that, like, okay, they gotta not tell people about their relationship, you know, and they're truly in love, and they want to get married, and they eventually get married, you know, and now they're having a kid, and it's like, if anyone finds out, it's like, fucking, you know, beheaded with you, you know what I mean? Jedi Council would definitely, like, disown him as a Jedi, or whatever, right? There's stakes, and there's struggle with the main character, and that's only talking about the main character. Obi-Wan really struggles to teach Anakin Skywalker the ways of a Jedi properly, and it's shown via the Council. The Council still questions Anakin Skywalker's loyalty at times, and at Obi-Wan's fault, or at least Obi-Wan would be the one held responsible, Obi-Wan's trying to, I guess, drill into Anakin all the things going on, and that's only including the 6 movies. And if we're only including the 6 movies, you know, we also have Luke Skywalker struggling with his parents. I believe they pass away. Is that right? Or his caretakers at least, and that's why, yeah, I believe that's what happens. Luke Skywalker's family basically dies, and Obi-Wan has to then take Luke, and, you know, Luke has a big responsibility to do his destiny. He struggles by losing his hand. He struggles by trying to help his friends. I think the best example is that Luke had to leave part of his training so that he could reassure himself that he'd be able to then save his friends, you know, or at least he thought he could reduce the damage caused. Which he did to some extent, because he was able to prevent some people from dying, and he was able to really get the crew together to go get a plan to save Han. But in the process, he ended up losing his left hand? His right hand, I think. Yeah, his right hand. Which obviously is a cost for the actions he was doing. And he found out, you know, Darth Vader was his father. So, bunch of struggle there, a bunch of conflict, a bunch of things going on where the character's developing and slowly, you know, learning more about the world. We see it in both Anakin and Luke, and that's only taking, like, main characters, you know? I'm not even gonna go into, you know, the struggles that Darth Vader had, or the struggles that fucking Princess Leia had, or even Padme being a queen and needing to, like, basically make fake decoys in order to survive and not be outed as being the true princess, because she had to, you know, make sure her life wasn't always at stake, especially when she needed to find a way to be with Anakin, or just lead her whole planet. But, you know, with the new films, there's a big problem where every character just feels like shit, and they don't struggle with anything. Finn's struggle should have been him being always pissed off, or him being always unapproachable, or something, like a consequence from him being ripped from his family from birth. I feel like that would have been the obvious, like, okay, that's why he's a defector, because he hates the First Order. Instead, he's like a pussy who wants to run away from every fight, and he, I guess, doesn't want to join the Resistance until the very end. Makes no sense to me. Like, it's such an easy, like, layup, where it's just like, okay, Finn wants to defect because the First Order treat him like shit, you know? But instead he's this jokey, goofy character that does dumb things and doesn't know anything about anything, other than, I guess, about the location of the Death Planet's fucking shields and everything. It's just so weird to me. You know, Rey doesn't really struggle at all with anything. She knows how to fly a ship, even though she's never been on one. She knows how to fucking use hyperdrive, and she knows what the problems are with hyperdrive when it's not working. She just knows everything. She can use a blaster, no problem, and she can go toe-to-toe with, you know, the most dangerous Force wielder around at the time, being Kylo Ren. And she's just able to outmatch him in terms of lightsaber skill, and able to just outforce him through the Force. It's just, to me, it just lacks every part of what Star Wars was. Every character had struggles, you know? With even with Han Solo's struggles was he was in debt, and he won enough money to pay off his debt, but instead he wanted to, you know, he was conflicting in himself, the fact to be like a good person or to go back to smuggling, you know, help the resistance take out the Empire, or go back to smuggling, pay off your debt, and live like a quiet life, I guess, you know. It's just really oddly made characters in The Force Awakens. All of them, to me, just all the new characters felt like shit. And another problem I have outside of the struggle part is that every character feels like they're not people in the universe, all the new characters. Rey feels like a hardcore Star Wars fan, where she knows everything, and she knows the right thing to do, and she knows how to use the Force, but she never earns it. She just knows it, you know? It's like if you're watching the movie and all of a sudden a fan spawns on, I think it was Dagobah, or wherever she's from, spawns on Desert Planet, and oh, look, that's the Force Awakens, that's the intro right there. It's really odd. Finn felt like a casual fan, where they just don't know anything, with his dumb lines like, oh, we'll just use the Force. That's not how the Force works. Dumb shit like that, where it's just, it doesn't make any sense why these characters are even there, you know what I mean? To me, it's just completely unintelligent and brain dead character writing, to be honest. All of them are just terrible. And I'm even talking about Kylo Ren. I know there's some people who defend Kylo Ren. Maybe in the comics he's cool, right? But I have a mega problem with Kylo Ren in general. I think his whole motive is terrible. He wants to try to, I guess, be like Darth Vader, at least from the first film. Now, maybe my opinions of these characters change in the next films, but considering this was supposed to be the best one, I'm not hopeful, I'll be honest. But his motive seems to be, you know, finish what you started, Darth Vader style. For what reason? Darth Vader was, like, in lore, he was always the chosen one, and he was set to destroy the Sith, and he ended up destroying the Sith. So by that logic, I guess, Kylo Ren's supposed to destroy the Sith? It's just very odd. And let's say he's being manipulated by Snoke, which I thought was probably the best character in the whole film, because he was rarely on screen, and he was just a big, well CGI'd creature. And Snoke, I guess, is, like, teaching him the ways of the Force and everything, but I guess Snoke is, like, a weak pussy bitch, because Kylo Ren can't even fight a random girl who just left the planet, you know? Unless Rey Skywalker's fucking metachlorian count is, like, 300 times Kylo Ren's, I don't understand how any of that could have happened at all in any Star Wars universe that's canon. But I guess we're just supposed to accept the fact that you can Uno reverse mind control, or mind reading. I guess that's just how the Force works. But okay then. But yeah, Kylo Ren just felt odd to me as well. Another big problem I have with The Force Awakens is that they shit on all the old characters, you know? And I'm not necessarily talking about Leia and Chewbacca, because they didn't really do much, outside of, you know, Chewbacca saying things and Leia looking like a leader of the Resistance. Han Solo was presented as a bumbling idiot who owes everybody money. The whole point of his whole character development at the end of the 6th film was he's a completely changed person, he helped his friends, and he doesn't owe anybody money. So he just randomly gets back in debt. Okay, I guess we're just shitting on what George Lucas made to shit on what George Lucas made. Alright then. On top of a lady who just went into the Millennium Falcon her first time, she just knows everything about the Millennium Falcon. Makes a lot of sense. Even knows it better than he does, you know? But yeah. I also think the villains were pretty bad. I do think Kylo Ren and Snoke. I think Snoke was the best character, but that's not saying much, because I rate the film probably 3 out of 10. So I think Snoke as a character is probably 4 out of 10. That's only because he didn't say much. I think Kylo Ren, is just terrible. After he took off his helmet, nothing against the actor, but he literally felt like he was just a weak soy boy, gets dominated by women type of character. where he's always looking like he's about to cry, and then when he tries to use force powers on a woman, he just decides to shit his pants. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. And then he automatically loses whenever he fights a woman for whatever reason. It just doesn't make sense to me, man. It's literally like a weak man who's been training all of his life is still just a weak man. Like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Up until he took his helmet off, though, I thought he was pretty decent because he sounded cool. He was intimidating. He had 1 or 2 scenes where he was baby raging for whatever reason, but it was just terrible. He also has some big problems, and I think I'm gonna get into this now. I think a lot of this film just felt like a copy of other shit George Lucas did, or at least Lucasfilm did. Kylo Ren and the Admiral, I think, is one of the biggest outliers to me, because I really enjoyed the fact that Admiral Tarkin exists, and if you don't know who that is, basically, he's the only Admiral, or one of the only Admirals, basically, of maybe, like, a handful of Admirals in the Empire, that didn't take shit from Vader, or at least contested Vader whenever Vader gave ideas and things to do. And it's because Vader respected Admiral Tarkin for showing no fear in front of Vader. That is where, like, the respect comes into play. Now, did Admiral Tarkin probably shit his pants every time Darth Vader told him to do something, and he didn't want to do it? Probably. But it's a cool dynamic showing the level of respect between characters in Star Wars. I thought it was played really well, and I think Kylo Ren, and I don't remember the guy's name, so I'm just going to call him the Ginger Admiral, felt like a shit copy. It felt like, you know, oh, Mom, I want Star Wars. I want Darth Vader and Tarkin. No, son, we have Darth Vader and Tarkin at home, and it's Kylo and the Ginger Admiral. And it's just a weird dynamic. Against every Admiral, Kylo Ren baby rages or he force chokes them to death. But against the Ginger one, he just doesn't because of reasons. Like, it's not really specified in any sort of media at all. It just kind of seems like Ginger Admiral gets the Ginger Pass, I guess. He seems to be the only Admiral that talks to Snoke. So nothing is really explained, and it doesn't make any sense. And then the Admiral can also baby rage at Kylo Ren, being like, oh, it's impossible for a defector because we bred them from birth, which is a whole separate issue. But okay then. Kylo Ren seems like he's trying to replace the imposing sort of theme of Vader as well. It doesn't work at all. Darth Vader will never be recreated in the Star Wars universe because Darth Vader is Darth Vader. He literally, for his time alive, he's one of the most dominating, like, strongest presences to walk in the fucking Star Wars universe. And I don't mean that literally, I just mean that he's got the iconic Darth Vader noise. He's got you know, the threat of he's fucking hiring bounty hunters to go hunt down people. He seems to have not really many morals. He slaughters people. You know, you have the whole hallway thing where he just busts in and he starts killing the rebels. Master lightsaber wielder. And he really is only beaten by Palpatine and Luke Skywalker. And that's it. You know, there's no one else that can really take him. But Kylo Ren literally gets beat by a stormtrooper with a lightsaber. Like, enough said, you know what I mean? Like, they're not even fucking close to comparable. But it's clear that Kylo Ren is supposed to be holding the mantle of Vader. Really dumb idea, in my opinion. And then I have a big problem with Rey. Rey, in scenes, I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's gonna be a smuggler, you know, and take up, like, the mantle of what Han Solo is, because it seems like she's supposed to have a deep connection with Han Solo for some reason. I think they mentioned that it felt like a dad to him or something, or a father figure, even though they knew each other for a few days, but okay. You know, she picks up a gun, she just has aimbot, so it's like she's naturally gifted. Okay, maybe she's a smuggler. No, JK, she just knows how to use the Force better than anyone else to ever exist, and she just has wicked lightsaber skill that she's able to beat Kylo Ren no problem. So, alright then, I guess she can just be both, you know? It's just, like, why? I think what they were trying to do is recreate the feeling with Princess Leia, because Leia, while she was really good with a blaster, once you found out she was related to the Skywalkers, and you found out and you connected the dots that, oh, you know, she has a connection with Luke, I thought it was a really cool, like, oh shit, does Leia become like a, does she ever get enveloped with the Force and she become like a, you know, a pseudo Jedi or something, or does she start training under Luke? Some really cool ideas are presented there, where it leaves you theorizing, but it's never obviously shown in the movies, at least. I think Rey is supposed to fill that role, but it doesn't work because Leia literally, like, the whole point of Leia is that it's a mystery if she becomes a Jedi or smuggler, or I guess not a smuggler, but like uses guns effectively after the events of the movie, where Rey just goes through both motions of being a Jedi and a gun shooter, I guess, in the middle of the film. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. So, me personally, I'm just really confused on why they tried to copy so many things that are just so shit. And then Kylo and Han's death is obviously supposed to be the copy of Luke Skywalker killing, or Luke Skywalker and Vader, but it's supposed to be quirky and have the twist of, no, the young guy actually does kill his father this time. You know what I mean? I think that's the obvious implication here, but I just think it's a shit way to copy it. I'm fine with the death scene. I'm not fine with the build-up and the aftermath. It doesn't make any sense. But, alright then. Just shitty copies, I guess we're doing. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I've been thinking about it for a few days now, just because after watching that film, I genuinely question why the fuck it was ever made. But I guess Star Wars has to sell something. Or I guess Lucasfilm has to sell something. Especially since, you know, Acolyte is so shit. And I know these aren't new, these are fairly old now. But I don't see myself ever, you know, in like 20 years, 30 years, going back to these films. At least if this is the best one of the three. And being like, wow, that was really good. You know, where even as a kid, I liked the OG 6 episodes, and even now, I like them even more as the OG 6 episodes. But yeah, it's kind of what I wanted to say. Just wanted to get my 2 cents out there. But yeah, made it to the end, like always. I hope you have a great day, and thank you for watching.